Another edition of Living the Dream podcast. I'm your host, Beto Duran. Thanks for always joining us, supporting us, and us, me, and the guests, and the entire Living the Dream community. As always, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let me know what you think of what's going on, and just another like, what is going on, right? So today's show is live on YouTube. It's a Monday edition. I know some people say like, Beto, you've been slacking on Monday. Look, I did 3 last week, and last episode was with Martin Moreno, comedian, who was hilarious. I was going to release it today, but I just said, forget it. I did it last Friday. So go and check that out. As always on YouTube, leave the comments. Let me know what's up. Let me know what you like. Get with this and enjoy what's going on. But today I'm doing something different. So, Gustavo Arellano, LA Times columnist, friend of the show, compadre, amigo, all that other good stuff. I went to one of the best weddings ever, which was his in downtown Santana. I had a great time. And every time Gustavo comes on, we just have an awesome conversation. And if you want to archive some of the shows that we've had in the past, we did the Ask a Mexican back when he was the OC Weekly, still doing the Ask a Mexican column. We did Ask a Mexican Christmas, where I asked them all the questions about what Mexicans do for Christmas. So we've had great conversations, keep on going. And I don't use him for clickbait. I like talking to Gustavo because he's so interesting and so fascinating. You could read him at the LA Times. It seems like he has a story every single day. He is just smoking his colleagues. And yes, I am calling out some of his colleagues who just tweet and don't write. And he won't say that, but I will say it. Because he's so good at what he does, subscribe to his newsletter on your email every Saturday. It's called Gustavo Arellano. Gritale Guti.
That's something else.
Gritale Guti is on Tuesday. That's on Tuesdays. His Instagram is always good. Tuesdays at 10:45 Instagram Live. So Gustavo Arellano is the man. He is the guest today, and we can see what's going on with you. We're doing this live on YouTube. There it is. So see, I was doing the whole intro. We're going it live on YouTube, and we see your comments. We will get to them, and we will have a moment later on in the show where you can interact with Gustavo. He does so many different things, and you will see that it's just a fun conversation. All right, today's guest, Gustavo Arellano from the LA Times. Gustavo, how are you doing? How's everything? ¿Cómo te va?
I am good. Again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I am your darling love, just like how David Letterman used to bring on her to sing her Christmas song. You bring me on every December to just talk about pinche chingaderas, pinche desmadre, whatever you want to do on that particular year, Yeah,
and it's pretty much desmadre. But there's so many things that are going on with you. Update people on everything that you got. I have a whole hour for you. Go ahead.
Oh, shit. Let's see. Well, okay. I'm a columnist for the California section of the Los Angeles Times. So there I pop up about twice a week. It all depends on the news cycle. Like last week I had one, if you just want to do a 7-day thing. But the week before I had four columns within 6 days. So that's my main thing. On KCRW, I do every Monday around 1 o'clock. So after this, basically, I do a commentary called the Orange County Line, where I talk about Orange County issues, because Orange County is always going to be a bunch of chingaderas. Bandejadas, more like it. I do, I'm a professor at Orange Coast College in Costa Mesa. Today's my final class. Monday, narrative nonfiction. So trying to get students to believe that there is a future in journalism, like the writing style of journalism. I have a weekly newsletter. If you go to gustavoarellano.org, every Saturday morning, I send out, it's called Gustavo Arellano's Weekly, but I label them Canto. So we're at now like Canto 138, I think. I don't even know. It's just pretentious bullshit on my end. But there I link up to all the stories I did the past week, all the media appearances I did in the past week. I'll do a song of the week, an article of the week, a quotation of the week, a picture of the week, and then just like a 300 and 400 word like missive, like just, a thought, just my own thinking of whatever it is. Sometimes, I don't know, it's just people seem to like it, so that's why I do it. And then finally, the fun part now, it seems every Tuesday night, it's at 10:15 on my Instagram Live channel. I do Gritale Guti, where I'm on there and I'll take people's questions. I'll interact with the comments. Although Beto always says, just don't ignore the commenters. Don't pay attention to what they have to say. But I like doing that. You know me. And this is the thing.
It's because you start rambling. You ramble and then you get off track. We got to rein you in. We got to rein you in.
That's the best part. When I ramble is the best asides, because I'm a fucking nerd. I mean, and to the point where, we have a shots game. I'll be talking about something. I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, I have a book about it, and literally I'll go off camera and pull something out. Fucking last week I pulled out a book about the Lindbergh baby. What other fucking commentator in Southern California is gonna pull out a book about the Lindbergh baby? No, no one. This one, Gritale Guti.
Well, tequila's ready to go.
I can't drink right now.
No, we're not drinking right now. It's only Monday.
If it was late hours,
No, we're not even doing that. But yeah, there's so many different things going on with you. You doing a great job with the columnist for the LA Times. Also, Gustavo, you're selling yourself short. I'm actually everybody's big hype man. So I will say it for you. You're the first Latino California columnist, right?
No. There's been like 6 of us. I mean, you had Ruben Salazar, Al Martinez.
Wait, you were the first what then?
I was the first Mexican with glasses as a columnist for the LA Times, more than anything. No. I mean, well, you know what's interesting? So when I did my column, like when I did my debut one, I thought I was only going to be the 4th one because you had Ruben Salazar. Of course, we talked about the Chicano moratorium earlier this year. So Ruben Salazar, the martyred LA Times columnist. Then you had George Ramos, who was during the 1990s. Then you had Agustin Gursa, that's 3. And then you had Hector Tobar in last decade. So I thought I was going to be the 5th one, but I missed on Al Martinez. Al Martinez he didn't write about Latino issues, but he was just a legendary columnist. And this is the great thing. Like once you start doing these stories, you start seeing history. Like you start digging. So there was a Latino entertainment columnist at the LA Times in the 1950s. And he talked all sorts of shit on Flor Silvestre and Antonio Aguilar. Like, I know, it was crazy. Like, you start reading the clips, I'm like, oh, shit. And then in the 1920s, the Los Angeles Times had a Latino cartoonist. I can't remember his name right now, but I'm going to do, I don't know if a column or a whole story about, like, the hidden pioneers of Latinos at the LA Times. So we always try to think we're the first ones because there could be only one. But there's this linkage going back right up, right to the early days of the paper. But I'm definitely the first one with glasses. I can tell you that much.
You're the first one with glasses. First one from Anacrime,
yep.
Jerez, Zacatecas, all that good stuff, right? And you see the shirt over me. That's from Nochislan, where my parents are from. I got that shirt there. I'm not going to wear it.
Nopaleros forever, man.
Yeah, there it is. I got the nopales outside. We're ready to go. All right, so update us on what you've been writing on. You had these new terms as a columnist for the LA Times. You got into it with everybody. The term is pandejo.
Pandejo. Yep. Pandejo. I did not invent these terms. The only ones I'll ever take credit for inventing are armchair activists and armchair Aztecs and yaktivists. But the one that came out of the LA Times, I did a column recently, pandejo. So you mix pandemic because of this coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. And then you mix pendejo, which is an idiot. I mean, it is a curse word, but it's like calling someone a dumbass. People say it's asshole. It's not asshole. It's dumbass. That is terco. It is pendejo. So you combine it as pandejo, and I use it specifically to call out Latinos, and especially Latinos who still think that coronavirus is not a big thing, that you could walk around maskless, that nomás lo que Dios quiera, or like nosotros somos indios, no nos pega enfermedades a nosotros. No, Latinos are getting destroyed by the coronavirus, and yet you still have these idiots who are all supposedly proud Mexicans, and they're just completely ignoring their primos and their friends and all that who are dying of coronavirus. That's when I started tweeting about this on Instagram, on Twitter, and then my editor Hector Becerra, he's the one who's like, oh, you should do a column about pandejos. I'm like, really? We could say pandejos at the LA Times? He's like, with you we can, and we did it. The funniest thing, I start getting people first like, you misspelled it. It's not pandejo. It's not with an A. It's with an E. I'm like, did you read the column? No, of course they did it. And then you had one guy. It's a professor somewhere in Long Beach saying, well, you didn't. You mistranslated pendejo as blockhead. That's not the term. I'm like, yeah, it is. You know what that shows is that he doesn't know what a blockhead is.
You have an interesting way of getting away with things. Because like Hector Becerra, who is awesome as your editor, I love him. I only met him one time, but he's great. He said you can get away with it. Why do you feel that in your short time as a columnist at the LA Times that you can get away with things?
Because I could explain this. I mean, this is the thing. Like, people think I just throw shit against them, and this has always been the biggest criticism of me. Oh, Gustavo says things just to say things. This is my entire career. I've been at this for 20 years now. And I tell people, look, never. I will never just throw something against the wall to see if it sticks. Number one, I can't do that because if I libel someone, well, then I get sued and libel lawsuits are not pretty. Number two, if I do something that's going to piss off my editors, you don't want to piss off your editors too much. You want to antagonize them, but you don't want to piss them off because, well, they're your boss. So, also, as a columnist, frankly, you have more editorial liberty. So if I was a reporter, I probably wouldn't have been able to say "pandejo."
No way.
You can, and it's interesting though the conversations that we have. It's not just myself and Hector Becerra, but then our, Steve Padilla, whose dad Al Padilla was a longtime coach at East LA College, died earlier this year. Yeah, a legend. So Steve Padilla is also a legend within the LA Times. He's the editor for our Column 1 section. Column 1 being like the best story of the day. Comes out in the LA Times on the front page. This is a tradition going back to the 1970s. So we'll have these conversations. We'll go like, well, can we use cabrón? Yeah, we can use cabrón at this point because cabrón just means like, badass or whatever. Can you use pendejo? Well, it all depends on the context of how you're going to use pendejo. Can you say like a word like what, like pinche? I think we've even snuck in a pinche.
No.
But I'm almost certain we did. But here's the key thing. I couldn't say pinche I don't even think I could get away with it as a columnist just because Hector says, like, if you're going to, his philosophy is if you're going to use Spanish, make sure it's not for a cutesy term just to show it. Like, it has to be within context. You could quote somebody if they say, I remember I did a story last year about some guy from, where does he live? I think he's based out of City of Industry, but he drives a semi-truck. And he uses all the grime, all la mugre on the back, and then makes, like, artwork out of it. So I interviewed a friend of his, and the friend said, I forget his name right now, pero él tiene un pinche don. In other words, like he has a damn don is a gift in Spanish. I know it makes no sense, but so in that case, we were able to use pinche because that's what the guy said as a quote. And pinche is not. I mean, you could go get away with it as like fucking, like pinche pendejo, like fucking asshole, or like pinche chingón, like a damn badass. Like, that's a great thing. We could have these conversations, and I want to have these conversations. I love language, and like to teach people new words and to push the boundaries of language. I'm all for that.
What's been the reaction from readers now that you have a distinct style in your writing, but you'll mix in a Spanish word? Like I said, you're not doing it for cutesy reasons, like some other people try hard, but you'll even have a little ustedes in there, or you'll just have kind of a word. And the traditional reader, has there been any kind of like, who's this guy?
Yeah, you're talking about the 7-year-old subscriber from the West Side. No, I mean,
or you might even have the Latinos who are like Latino.
Yeah, the Hispanic Latinos.
Yes.
No. So it's interesting. From the letters, I mean, it all depends on the subject. I get more often. I mean, I have my devoted haters. I'm talking about you. What's your name? Marvin in Newbury Park, I believe it was Marvin, but I know you're in Newbury Park. Who like just even though they hate everything I write, they have to write in every single time. There's one guy who's like, how does it feel being used by the LA Times? That's literally what every time I write a column, that's what he writes. Those people, I'll try to interact with them. After a while, though, they get boring. Like, I don't mind fighting with you if you're interesting, but if you're boring, I'm just gonna block you. I'm just gonna mute you. But so for the most part, though, I get a lot of people like just this week, I got this guy like, oh, I don't agree with all of your columns, but I do like reading you. You're very interesting, and the diversity of different things. Like you're Latino, and you talk about a lot about Latinos because we're like almost 50% of the population in Southern California. But he's like, you mix it up. Sometimes you talk about architecture. Sometimes you talk about history. Just the one that came out yesterday was, my gift guide, my book gift guide. I'm a nerd, so I'm always recommending books for the holidays. So it was, the mix of, a history about El Monte, like the radical history of El Monte, mixed with Eric Nussbaum's book about the Dodgers and Chavez Ravine, mixed with Mike Davis and John Wiener talking about the social justice movements in Los Angeles during the 1960s. And then the fourth one, that's my dog right there, don't bark, Cosmo. And then what was the fourth one? I'm already blank. Oh, the Hispanic Republican. You want to talk about, too bad he's not from LA, he's from Arizona, but Gerardo Cadava, he's a professor at Northwestern University. He writes a book about the history of Hispanic Republicans. And unsurprisingly, there's a big history of Latino Republicans in Southern California. One of the best anecdotes in the book is about how Sacred Heart in Pomona, how those parishioners convinced Richard Nixon to pass the first ever amnesty for undocumented immigrants in the United States. But the only thing that got on the way was when he finally had that realization, then Watergate came in.
Oh.
But Pomona, I mean, that's what, this is what I try to do with my column. I just try to show people, like, okay, there's so many things in front of us in Southern California because, there's so many people live here. It's so big. But if you just pay attention a little bit more, and if you ask people and you talk to folks, they're going to tell you some amazing stories that are right in front of your face that have been there forever. So what I want when people read my column is after they read it, it's like, wow, I learned something new today that I should have known a long time ago. I don't feel lectured to by Gustavo. He does it in a way that, he's telling me to learn these things. And because the way he writes it, I want to learn more, and I want to keep reading this guy. I mean, remember, I've only been the columnist now since September. So September, October, November, I'm going into just my 4th month right now. There's a lot of things I still haven't gotten to yet. Also, coronavirus fucked everything up and the presidential election. But once we could actually breathe a little bit, you think this madre's been happening right now? just wait, Huntington Beach.
Oh, I'm not even getting into that one. And all your city names. But what... I want to have you on because, one, you're a ball of energy. You get going, you get after it. And there are people who are just discovering you, whether they're my followers or whether they're new readers and out there. And your story is just so unique. And I keep tweeting about it. And I don't people think like, okay, we get it, Beto. You always talk about Gustavo, blah, 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 blah. But it's because I'm a fan of yours. And I was a fan of yours before we even met, back in your OC Weekly days. And what I love about you is your tenacity and your drive and the way you get after things. And we go back and forth, you and I, we text almost every day, and it's just work, just work, just work. The work ethic that you have, you could easily just be a columnist who's like, you know what, I have a column due next week, but you're working on how many things at once?
Too many things and not enough things. I'm only seeing my cell phone because I'm going to read you, literally, this is what I texted someone today, what Floyd Mayweather said about his opponents. When you're sleeping, I'm working. When you're working, I'm working. That's what I do because it's not work. At the end, my dad, he was a truck driver. He did work. Your dad, he was working class. He did work. My mom was a tomato canner. She did work. What I do, talking to my fucking compa for lunch on Monday? How does that work? How am I going to complain? Oh my God, I'm overburdened these things. I got to.
Because everybody does. Everybody does.
They shouldn't. Look, you have to be treated with respect. I do have to, do not belittle people. I'm not for workplace harassment, or I'm not for a place where you have dumbass editors. But at the Los Angeles Times, our editors are great. And look, when I joined the Times, I didn't have to join the Times. I mean, now I'm gonna be like all como se hace, but no, hear me out. I was hitting a groove that I was a mega freelancer. I tell people, I wrote so much in 2018. That I actually had to, now mind you, I'm not making a lot of money on this, but I had to stop myself because I was almost going to jump up to the next tax bracket. That's how much work I was doing. That's
Mr. 1099, baby. Mr. 1099. That's our life.
Stop. Every year, I think I got 60 1099s in 2018. And I could have tried to do my own thing or whatever, but Hector just, and the Times have been trying to get me on for a while, but Hector, I've known him for a while. I've always loved his stuff, and it's look, come join us, I'd be your editor, and let's really tell these great stories. And I said, okay, I totally want to join you, but I do not want to join a workplace environment that's going to be a bunch of egos, because I heard the stories of the old LA Times where he had a bunch of fucking divas. I'm not going to name names, and thankfully they're all gone from the paper, but I did not want any,
not all of them.
I did not want any workplace, for me, we're colleagues, let's work. Let's support each other. No backstabbing, because I dealt with backstabbing early in my career and I didn't like it. And I have not had to deal with that at the LA Times at all. So it's not work. If you have that workplace environment, then it should not be work. It should be fun, and you should consider it as fun. And we all want to have fun, so why don't we want to have as much fun as possible?
You bring a different voice to the LA Times. No, you do, because.
I bring my voice.
No, but I worked there too. I hosted a podcast there. And it was, I was in the sports section, so it was fun. But seeing the different floors and how people act and how people behave, and very territorial. And it's well, who's this guy coming in thinking he's somebody? You, Gustavo, I'm going to show you some picture here.
Oh, geez.
brought in this to the LA Times?
El Santo Niño de Atocha, of course.
Why?
Because he's a patron saint of Zacatecas. Like, and here's the thing, folks. I actually am Catholic. I do believe in God. I happen to believe in the Old Testament God, who's a fucking petty asshole who will fuck with your life just for the hell of it. And so, it's absolutely true.
Just the way you said. Just you're cussing, talking about I'm a good Catholic, and you're fuck this, fuck that.
I mean, he says it in the Bible. I'm a jealous God. He tells Job, "Hey, Job, I fucked with you because I could fuck with you. Deal with it." Like literally the gif of like with the sunglasses, deal with it. That's what it is. So the Santo Niño de Atocha, he's a apparition of the baby Jesus, patron saint of Zacatecas. And so I did a story for the Los Angeles Times from my paisano, Jose Huizar, who's from Los Morales, which is the rancho right between El Carradero and Homulquillo, where my parents are from, in the municipio of Jerez. He, of course, got arrested by the FBI for all sorts of federal, felony allegations. And so the day of his arrest, he posts on Instagram a picture of the Santo Niño de Atocha. And of course, the people who didn't get it, they're like, what the fuck is this baby? And all the raza in LA, they're like, fuck you. Pinche pendejo, not pendejo, pendejo. And this like hiding between the Santo Niño. That's so fucking pathetic and whatnot. And so immediately I go to Hector. I'm like, this is the story. And of course, Hector, he's from Jalisco, so they don't. I think he's from the region with La Virgen de San Juan de los Lagos. But he of course knows who the Santo Niño de Atocha is. So he's like, all right, go out, go tell the story of why Jose doing this offended so many Latinos, especially Mexicans in Southern California, the significance of the Santo Niño to Southern California, and also, why people are so upset. So I go to Placita Olvera, I talk to the little store that's right there in the mission, the little santuario right there, and I buy the statue because I wanted to get the. You come in with just your bad time with LA Times, people are gonna be like, whatever. But you go in, that statue bought me $40. Oh, cool! I made my quota for the day. Oh, by the way, I'm a reporter. Like, can you talk to me about this? So now it's in my room, but I had it there on my desk. So of course I had to take the picture of the Santo Niño in the newsroom of the LA Times. You had to, of course.
But Gustavo, like the thing that people take to a newsroom, you're not gonna expect El Santo Niño de Atocha.
Because we're a bunch of liberal, atheist, agnostics.
No,
maybe I can't speak to my colleagues.
No, it's just of all the things to put there. It's like, what was the reaction to it?
People, I think it was during a weekday, so some people knew what it was. I mean, they had read the story, obviously, and they're like, I don't think, maybe Hector's always like kind of skeptical with stuff. It's like, of course, Gustavo would do that. But if, too bad we're not in our office now, but I was making it into just a little shrine. Again, I believe in these saints. I really do believe in these saints. The Santo Niño has always been special to my family. In my cubicle, I have, of course, San Judeo Tadeo, St. Jude Thaddeus, who's a patron saint of Las Casas, who I've liked before he became a narco thing. You have, Jesus, you have San Peregrino. I have all these saint things or whatever. I have statues or whatnot. And that's the other thing with me. If people see Grita Leguti, you could call me, I'm a hoarder or whatever, but for me, everything has a specific meaning to it, and I like to do all these different things, So I don't know, to me, and it's also Zacatecas. You gotta promote Zacatecas.
You're an interesting guy, Gustavo Arellano. You are definitely an interesting guy. As you progress in your career, all kinds of good stuff coming your way. All right, so now, no, of course, Drew Hart says, hello, reason I subscribe to the LA Times. I completely agree. I renew my LA Times subscription because of you. I'm not kissing ass to you, but because of you. When people say that to you, what do you feel?
I tell them thank you. I'm grateful, definitely. I also tell them, if I'm the only reason you subscribe to Los Angeles Times, I strongly urge you to read my other colleagues. I'm surrounded by so many amazing colleagues.
Yeah. No, it is. Okay, all that other stuff.
That's ass.
No, and it's true. But Gustavo, it's real simple to just open up a new Internet Explorer page and you'll get the stories from the LA Times. But for somebody to say, hey, I am giving money for you specifically, as a son of a truck driver and a woman who worked at a tomato cannery who had no idea what their kid's going to do with his life, when you hear that, you on your own, Gustavo, what do you feel? Forget everybody else.
No, again,
it's okay to praise yourself here. We're all for that here.
I'm not gonna. Why would I praise myself? Look, I'm a hustler. You're only as good as your last story, though. That's the thing. People always say, take a break, take a break. You're going to bring yourself out. No, you're not going to bring yourself out. It is fun. If I could bring more subscribers to the Los Angeles Times, because we always need subscribers, then, hey, that's just my job. I'm not going to pat myself in the back. I'm not going to get como se dice, a bonus from someone or whatever. No, and I don't see it as like, oh, this is a testament to me. I'm just working. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, cool. As long as my bosses are ultimately cool with what I do, that's what matters. And Drew, I correspond a lot with Drew on Twitter, so thank you for tuning in to Beto Vision. I really appreciate it. Again, I really am grateful for this shit.
That's cool. And it's one of the few times where I'm not going to let you off the hook, because you don't ever praise yourself. You don't ever enjoy the moments, because you just said it right now. You don't. I mean, maybe when you're having your bourbon in Kentucky, you can sit back and reflect. But you're
back there.
This is the same way, because even though we grew up in different areas, even though you grew up in Orange County, I grew up in LA County, we didn't know each other. We don't know each other really, but we had the same background because of the parents and the area where we're from in Zacatecas, where it's, yeah, that's yesterday's news. ¿Qué sigue? Yeah. Like you just said it. That's yesterday's story. What's next? Too many people, especially when they get to around our age, in their late 20s, are starting to say, I've made it. I've accomplished it. They rest on their laurels. We continue to pass people up. Where do you get that mindset of saying, hey, I can't just sit back and enjoy what's going on?
No, it's I think the Hall of Fame NBA sports writer, I think her last name Jackie McMullen or whatever.
Jackie McMullen.
Jackie McMullen, I knew it was a Scottish name, but New Yorker did an interview with her, and they asked her, like, did you ever think you were going to make it? And she's like, I don't think I've made it yet. And she's a Hall of Famer. I know her work, of course. She's a legend. Yes. But that's how you have to think. You can never think, I've made it. Do I enjoy it? Of course I do. Again, I get to write for a living. I get to yap for a living. I get to rant for a living. That is not work. My cousins who are janitors, who are who own their own they're plumbers or landscapers or whatever. That's fucking work. My parents did. That's fucking work. So yeah. I basically anytime I work, I enjoy it. But I'm not going to be one of those people who just say like, yeah, that was a good one. For me, it's like they're all great. They are all great. And and this is what I tell, especially as a columnist. The scrutiny becomes even more on you as a columnist, because when you're a reporter, you could hit a bunch of singles, hit 300 and you're going to be fine. You're going to have your job. When you're a columnist, the minimum you can do is a double, and a hard double. And really all the columns have to be home runs. If they're not a home run, then you're not going to be a columnist. Now, if you only write every other week, the advantage, chances are it's going to be easier for you to hit home runs. But if you're trying to do 2 a week, it gets hard. But I live for that challenge, because for me, it's like, if I cannot be hitting home runs all the time, then I shouldn't be a columnist, because I am not doing the work that needs to be done. Like I'm never going to half-ass it. But that's how I always approach my life, my work. I remember when I used to be, this way back in the day, like Family Fun Center, which no longer exists. And it was in Orange County, like the small amusement parks with go-karts or bumper boats and all that. People would always make fun of me because I would always run. Whenever I got called, I would always run instead of walk. They're like, why aren't you walking? Why are you running? I'm like, because they called me. I got a job to do. Oh, they're paying us minimum wage. Why do you care? Because I'm getting paid. I have a job. This is what I owe my bosses at the very least. They could fire me any single day. You could lose it any single day. So why don't you give it your 1,000% every single second?
See? Fire me. No, because it's hard to explain that to people. And I guess it's, being in my 40s now, where it's like, yeah, it's fun. It's amazing. This is great. Let's get after it. But what's next? I've worked a lot of cool things in my life, but there's a lot of stuff I haven't done. And I don't want to become that guy who is in his 60s and I was like, whoa, I used to work this. I used to do this. I used to do that. I was like, geez, okay, great. We've all heard that story. But there's people who are in their 30s in this business where like all they're doing is complaining about how they can't do this, how they can't do that. And like I just spoke to a high school class right now at St. John Bosco, and I was like, nobody's gonna come get you. Nobody's gonna come to your house and say, hey, come do this. Create your own opportunities. Like you mentioned, like in 2018, how many 1099s you had. You're making work for yourself, but there's a lot of people who just say, hand me a story, hand me this. How do you find your stories? Because they're so unique. The fact that you wrote about a guy who paints or who draws on the back of his truck the dirt, like that right there, like I never would have thought to go find that story from somebody else. You, of course, I knew that was going to happen with you. But to think there's a story there, where does like the mind of Gustavo, tell me what the hell's up there?
Everything is a story. Everything can be a story. You just have to think about it. There's a houseplant right in front of me. That's a story. Who grew it? What's the business behind it? There was a viral story that happened recently about a kid in East LA. Like we're talking about an 8-year-old who started growing houseplants. Like and I don't like houseplants. I'm a gardener, Farmer Gus here, but I like to grow plants that you could eat. Houseplants you can't eat. But here's this little kid, 8-year-old, starts growing all these houseplants. They give a GoFundMe for him, raises $50,000. Now his family's able to live in an apartment or whatnot. Everything is a story. You just have to be open to those things. And then the best stories, I think, the best stories are the ones like I still use Orange County because that's where I'm based. So I still think of what I used to tell interns at the OC Weekly when I was editor there. Why should someone in San Clemente, which is all the way down there in South Orange County, beach town, Pendleton, super conservative, super white, why should somebody in San Clemente care about a story that happens all the way up in La Habra, very Latino, Guadalajara, right next to Whittier County? It's one of 2 Orange County cities in the 562. Why should people care? And you should, and if you can't answer that, then you don't have a story. So you need to find stories that are going to resonate with people, as many people as possible. That again, as a columnist, even with the Times, that's sort of been my mandate. Stories that tell us who we were, who we are, and who we are becoming as Californians, and stories that were right in front of your face and you never noticed them until I told you about it. Like I'll tell you a story about it was in a column. It was a story last year, came out around December, so about a year ago, about Excelente Tamales. So Excelente Tamales is the oldest Mexican food company in the United States. They're about 125 years old. And if you talk to like anyone in Southern California, born and raised, who's 50 or older, not just Gabachos, but also Chicanos, they will tell you so many stories about Excelente Tamales. If you shop at Staters or Albertsons, you've seen the logo. It's like a white plastic bag, XLNT in red on a blue background. It is a part of Southern California. It's history. But nowadays, like no one really buys them anymore because now you could get tamales fresh. These are frozen tamales. So I did the story about that, about how now they're actually getting more business than ever before because they're getting a bunch of Californians. There's Excelente Tamales. I guarantee you, if you grew up in Southern California, you know that logo. You've seen it. Even like part of you are like, oh yeah, I never thought about it, but yeah, there it is. And so now, it got. And you want to talk about a Southern California story? It was founded by an English immigrant who was in East LA in the 1890s. Now it's run by a Cuban Italian who lives in Long Beach. Like that is Southern California for you. And the tamales, they're not bad. If you ever ate tamales growing up from a cafeteria in high school, they taste exactly like that. So a little bit like, it's more chili on the inside than like puerco or chile or whatever, but they're not bad. Like for frozen, like they'll work in a pinch. So I'm looking for those stories. And I knew it just because I wrote the book, Taco USA. But, oh, yeah, the Excelente brand, like you want to get into the history, the family that ran it for decades, they're the Morales family from Sonora. One side of the family, they got into stock cars. So they became very famous during the 50s and 60s for their stock cars. And their car was called the Tamale Wagon because they sold these Excelente tamales in a tamale wagon drawn by a horse carriage or drawn by a horse. And the other thing that the Morales family did, they invented Doritos. They invented Doritos at Disneyland. So all of this in a 1,100 word story that made it into the front page of the Los Angeles Times. People love that story. The fans who like the Excelente Tamales, there's Taco USA, also made in my book. But also people who didn't know about this are like, wow, I learned something about myself. I learned something about the region. That's cool. So those are the stories that I try to do always.
It's fascinating how you your mind works and you just get after it and you just go and do things. It's all that matters. You just said it. There's a story everywhere you go. All right. Let's get into this now a little bit because we always do the tradition of around this time of year about Mexican Christmas. So I'm gonna ask some questions, and because we did this a few years ago, but I'm gonna ask some questions quickly. I can't play the music because YouTube will take us off. All right. Mi burrito sabanero.
Mi burrito de Belén, de Belén, de Belén. Voy camino de Belén. Tuki, tuki. I think that's all.
What is the story with that song?
Well, that's a Venezolano song. So it's a Venezolano. I forget. It was a kids group, obviously. So you always think it's Pedrito Fernandez because he did a version or like that he wrote it. But no, the first one was in Venezuela. And then all the Mexican families had the record with like the kids on the burro, and it looks like Mexico, but it's actually Venezuela, and they're going through it. And everyone knows that song, and it's a very annoying song. But if you think about it, it's very sweet. It's kids going to, with their little burro, going to Belén, to Bethlehem, to see the child Jesus. And if you think about it, you know that it's a South American song because they talk about a path. Instead of camino, they say sendero. Mi Sendero Luminoso is like the shining path, which of course that was a Peruvian terrorist group in the 80s, but Mexicans don't say Sendero. I never heard Sendero. I have to look that up what it is. But I gotta say right now, I don't know how many. There it is. That's not the cover though. There's an iconic cover on the LP, but that's basically what it is. But if you want to hear a great Mexican Christmas song, there's one called La Rama. And Los Lobos, they actually they actually released a Christmas album last year. They had a couple of their own compositions, but they also covered like the Mexican Christmas classics. They didn't do Burrito Sabanero because Juanes, of course, did it, but they did Mamacita, ¿Dónde está Santa Claus?
Yeah.
They did another beautiful. That one's Augie Rios. That's a Puerto Rican singer who was a kid. But La Rama is probably one of the most beautiful songs you'll ever hear. If you Google Los Lobos' version of La Rama, it's Son Jarocho. So Son Jarocho already is beautiful, and it's a tradition to Veracruz. And I guess in Veracruz they go around and they have ramas de palmas because you're on the coast, and they put bottle caps on it. They make a lot of noise, but it's like such a beautiful freaking song that if you're not from the coast, as a Mexican, you've never heard of La Rama. I didn't know about La Rama growing up. The only Son Jarocho song you know is La Bamba. So La Rama is a beautiful, beautiful song. One of my favorite songs of all time, actually, at this point.
And that's by Los Lobos. And
yeah, they made a version of it. La Rama is a traditional song, just like it even predates Burrito Sabanero. It's a traditional song. Beautiful, beautiful album.
And it's on that album, Los Lobos Llegó Navidad La Rama.
Yeah.
R-A-M-A.
And who gave Los Lobos the idea to record La Rama? Right here.
Who?
Me.
Come on.
I know Luis Perez, the main songwriter for Los Lobos. He literally, I'm actually thanked on the credits because he's like, hey, we want to do this Christmas album. Can you just do a list of Latin American songs of Christmas? And it's interesting because if you go through the whole list of Latin America, the people who have the happiest Christmas songs in Puerto Rico, I forget what they're called, Vizcaínos or something like that. But there's a whole tradition of Christmas songs.
No way.
Mexican Christmas songs, they're sad. I mean, Amarga Navidad, come on, that's all you need to know. They're most Christmas songs are fucking sad from Mexico. Tristeza, because we're triste people, you know?
This is...
you see what I mean, Beto?
You got to credit with those...
Ramble.
No, I was fine. But I never thought that Hollywood Gus would now become producer Gus.
Sunset Gus.
Sunset Gus. Los Lobos Gus. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, me and Louis, we've been friends for a long time. We first hit it off when Luis Perez and was it David? Yeah, David Hidalgo, because they're they're all friends, of course. But Louis and David, they've been friends since 8th grade, going back. I think they're from Garfield, but they did their own EP together, and so they said, hey, we did this EP together. Can you be the MC of our shows, you in conversation with us? This was over a decade ago. I went up to Oakland with them. I did, I think, another one in LA, and we just had a conversation. So me and Louis hit it off, and he's a big foodie, but he's a vegetarian. So he's always hitting me up of course, before coronavirus, let's go to this place, let's go to that place. So yeah, he hits me up and is like, hey, we're gonna do this album, but we're gonna do it fast. Can you just do it? So I did a list of 400 songs from Christmas, and you actually know who has like one of the really interesting Christmas songs, New Mexico, Los Hispanos, the people who think they're Spaniards, because they have their own tradition of Christmas songs. They're called pastorales. They do like kind of like posadas, but they do whole plays out of it. So they have one called Los Comanchitos, and you hear it, and it's just a haunting song. It's like indigenous mixed with like 16th century Spanish thing, and they're talking about Comanches. Like the Comanches were like the evil enemy of the Spaniards in the 1600s and 1700s. And so the whole song is about going, we tie it all together, how the Santo Niño de Atocha helps convert these Comanches into good Catholics. So amazing, amazing song. They should have recorded it, but hey, at least they recorded La Rama.
You're on fire. You are on fire.
Me, man.
No, I know you are, but it's just, this is what you can get on Gritale Guti on Tuesday nights. Go to Gustavo's Instagram, and you will see him every Tuesday at 10:15 for an hour. Gustavo just takes your questions. But right now, I'm basically having my own version of Gritale Guti. Make sure you guys subscribe to Gustavo's newsletter. Every Saturday, it comes out there. The cantos are pretty cool. I've told a lot of people to get going. I was never one of those who subscribed to newsletters before. I was like, this is stupid, whatever. I don't want that. Subscribe to yours. I watch a lot. And then also subscribe to Gabriel San Roman, the Slingshot, his newsletter. I don't care about Orange County, but because of him, I do care now. And it's interesting the way you read, and there's always something to be told. And also subscribe to Will Leach, former from
Leach,
Despot,
awesome.
because that's what you said to do, and I did. I'm like, all right, this is cool. So I even thought about starting my own newsletter, but nah, I don't write.
No,
I don't.
Beto doesn't.
I don't write.
Beto tries to make himself out to be like some pendejo who came out of Carson.
No. Hell no. I'm smart. I'm smart. I just don't want to write because there's no return on investment for me. So there's no need.
Yeah, no. You got the podcast. You got the Jim Hill fist bumps. All the fist bump. You got all that shit. So you got your thing. And of course, I always take the most unflattering photos of Beto.
Oh, it's the best.
Just to show that I'm seeing him always every Sunday after NFL. Man, CBS.
It's the best. I people. It's become a thing because there's so many people, especially on Instagram, where they flex like, oh, here's my great pose. I purposely post the bad ones because that's who we really are. Like, I have no problem with saying my 3 chins are out there. I'm okay with it. It's okay. But blame TV and blame the angles. We know what's up. Here, Juan Huera says, Amarga Navidad is a drinking song in our family. Christmas
it's a
time,
sad one, man. Jose Alfredo Jimenez, the legend. And the funny thing with Jose Alfredo, he has so many fucking amazing songs. That would be like one of his third-tier songs, and his third-tier songs are still better than 95% of anything else anyone has ever released. It's such an amazing, amazing song.
Yeah, there's so much going on here. We're already 42 minutes in here, Gustavo. All kinds of stuff. Good thing I blocked out a lot of time for you. All right, so that was my Christmas thing. Get you. Now, let me make the traditional Christmas joke about Mexicans. Why do they make tamales?
So we could have something to unwrap.
There you go.
The easiest. One of 5. It's interesting. I was going to tweet this out. I'll probably tweet it out. I probably only know 5 jokes, and they're all ethnic jokes. 2 of them are about Mexicans, 1 are about Puerto Ricans, and 1 of them are about people from Maine. I don't know what that says about me, but there you go.
From Kenny Bunkport, huh? Okay, George Bush.
Augusta, Maine. I like also, and this is the thing. Only if you're from Maine can you get it. The rest of the world are like, what the fuck? Because they don't get that shit.
All right. So you make the tamales, okay? There are different tamales in this world, Gustavo. I didn't know this. I thought all tamales were like Mexicans. Because, okay, I don't go buy tamales. The tamales I get are the ones that my mom makes. Right? Yeah. She makes the ones, and they're not, because from Zacatecas, they're lighter. The masa is lighter. So the first time I had Oaxacan tamale, I was like, whoa, what is this? The first time I had one, was it the banana plant one?
Hoja de plátano, yeah.
Yeah, that stuff. I'm like, what is this? So, and I'm just going to be like, look, I'd rather have my mom's because that's comfort food for you right there. But the tamale, Gustavo, is a unique beast, isn't it? There's so many different variations. What are some of them?
Well, yeah, even in Mexico. The hoja de plátano, that's going to be southern Mexico and even into Central America. And we'll get to Central American tamales in a little bit. But
Get your dog.
Yeah, Cosmo, come on. Just the one that people think tamales is the corn husk, and traditionally, of course, son de puerco. Some, like in northern Mexico, son de res, because cattle country, Sonora, and like, you know, Chihuahua and all that. Then you have, of course, rajas con queso, which are my favorite tamales.
Yeah.
You have tamales de pollo. Then you have the dessert tamales, where they mix in like pasitas and piña or fresa, like strawberries or pineapple and raisins, into those dessert tamales. So those are the one mostly in central and northern Mexico. Then you start getting the more, I mean, really the Oaxacan tamales are great because, you know, they're bigger and they come with moles, the moles rojos, coloradito. They have some with pipil, which is a little herb. But then I really think the most underrated tamales in Mexico come from Michoacan, because Michoacan is such an underrated state, by the way, so much culture there. But in Michoacan, you have two tamales that you really don't see anywhere, and they're hard to find even in Southern California. One of them are called corundas. Corundas, they're basically a triangle of masa. They're inside-out tamales, a triangle of masa, and on top of them you put la crema, then whatever the carne is. That's a tamal of the purépechas. Purépechas being the indigenous tribe that the Aztecs were never able to conquer. They're still around. So corundas are amazing. But an even better one, in my opinion, they're called uchepos. Uchepos are going to be made, they're a savory tamal, but they're a sweet corn tamal. So kind of like if you ever, we've all been to El Cholo, and they're always pushing their green corn tamales for Christmas, and they're really good. Think of that savory flavor. And uchepos, they come from La Tierra Caliente. La Tierra Caliente is like southern Michoacan and northern Guerrero. And corundas, there used to be a place in because Santana is filled with Michoacanos. So there used to be a place in Garden Grove that sold corundas, and actually somewhere I found, I can't think of it right now, that sells corundas. But if you want uchepos, you have to go to Las Brisas Apatzingan in Santana, which is a Tierra Caliente style restaurant, and they are so good. Javier Cabral from LA Taco, he'll drive all the way from fucking LA down to Santana just to get a bunch of uchepos. That's how great those uchepos are.
Uchepos?
Uchepos. Uchepos. Uchepos.
Damn, we need to go on a food tour, and of course. I mean,
estamos?
Normal times, normal times.
Yeah,
I want to be able to enjoy the times, and I don't want to be a pandejo. Imagine that workshop. Oh, my good friend, imagine that workshop. He's the one who actually made my sign, Beto Duran up there. He says he's from Urapuan, Michoacan. Also, atole de grano.
Urapan, yeah.
Atole de grano?
Atole de grano, I've never had. I don't think I have.
Yeah, he said nowhere to be found here.
No, I mean, look, there's like another tamal that you're not going to be able to find is one called sacahuil.
What?
Sacahuil. Zacahuil. Sacahuil comes from what's called La Huasteca. La Huasteca, if you've ever heard son Huasteca, which is like basically Mexican hillbilly music with the fiddles and whatnot, the sacahuil is a tamal that's at least minimum 5 feet long. Like you bury it underground. Oh yeah. Like you bury it underground and you eat it. And it's kind of like they wrap it in plantains. They do all of that stuff. Hold on, I gotta pick up if my dog yips.
Go ahead. I'll do a commercial right now. Thanks for everybody.
Aquí estamos.
Oh, you good? All right, you good. Oh, you got the dog back?
There. That's Cosmo right there. Mwah. Very sweet dog. Rescue dog. But sacahuil, it's a big 5-foot tamal. They only make it in La Huasteca. La Huasteca is going to be mostly, let's see, San Luis Potosí, Veracruz, Tamaulipas, Hidalgo especially. That's like the main part. You're never going to find a sacahuil in the United States as a restaurant. Now, you do find it in backyards when people do it, but most people from La Huasteca, they live either in New York City, New York, or in the South. So you go to the South, that's where you could find sacahuiles. But I've never heard of one ever being made in Southern California. I mean, I know they're there because you do have people from La Huasteca here, but that's probably the most unique tamal. And then, lest they start complaining, our Central American cousins, I still think the best tamal of them all, is one from Guatemala called pache. Paches is going to be made from potato masa. So they get papas and they make it into a masa and they make it into a tamal. That's fucking good, man.
Jaime Solorio says Salvadorian ones have a bone?
They can. Well, once you start getting into Central America, the tamales start getting bigger. The most famous tamal, and don't start hating on me, Salvadorans and Hondurans, but the most famous tamal is the Nica tamal from Nicaragua. The Nicaraguan tamal is big. It's as big as a book. It's huge, and they'll put a whole chicken thigh there, or I've had it with chicken wings or whatever. There's a couple of Nicaraguan restaurants in Southern California, but the big population of Nicaraguenses is going to be up in the Bay Area and DC as well. But the Nica tamal is good. And here's the thing though, with the tamales from Central America, most of them are in banana leaf. So they're a little bit denser because la masa is a little bit wetter, like more moister, but they're good. Oh my god, like the paches and the chuchitos actually come wrapped in a corn husk. They're also from Guatemala as well. Really good.
You are a wealth of information. It's just I'm asking the same questions I asked a couple years ago, and I'm learning something new. I feel like we should be taking a test after this. Of course, the book is Taco USA by Gustavo Arellano. Wait, that's not it. That's not the one I want to talk about.
That's Diana's.
Wait, where's Taco USA? Taco USA. There it is. There it is. So how Mexican food conquered America. That's the book. Go and buy it. So if you want to buy a gift for somebody for Christmas, if you like them, buy them this. If you don't like them, buy them this. Just buy the book from Taco USA for Gustavo Arellano.
And if you're going to buy it from Libromobile. Libromobile is a one bookshop. Yeah, no, fuck you. And this is why. Because if you're going to buy the book, I might as well autograph it. And that's the only bookstore that I autograph books from now. Because, you got to support your local businesses. Like what? Amazon? Fuck Amazon.
Hell yeah. I'm on Amazon, baby.
Amazon's
going to show up tomorrow. That's why. Ain't no problem. Come on. Legit. What is it? Libromobile?
Libromobile. Yeah.
All right. Joe Ash, our good friend Chicano Golf. What's the best spot to get tamales in OC?
Just old school tamales. You got to go to La Poblanita in Orange, near Old Town Orange. They've been at it for over 40 years at this point. Okay. Just puerco, pollo, then tamales de fresa también. Just simple. But again, uchepos, if you want to try it. Yeah, dessert tamal. Dessert tamal. It's like tamales de piña. Nothing too surprising about that. But if you want those uchepos from La Tierra Caliente, you go to Las Brisas at Patzingan in Santana. Your family's going to say, what the hell is this? So just eat a couple just so you know that you're going to like them, and I guarantee you're going to like them.
Gustavo, okay, moving on. You had a tortilla tournament. What the hell is a tortilla tournament?
Tortilla, it's exactly what it sounds like. If you're a sports fan, it's a tournament. Whether it's FIFA for you with the round of the round of death, or whether it's the NCAA men's Final Four. Think about it: 64 tortillas, 32 corn, 32 flour, broken up into 4 brackets. Rank them 1 through 16. Ándale, échense until you finally have, we get into the Suave 16, then the SO8, and then finally you have the Fuerte 4. You try to determine who's best, corn versus flour, and at the end, they fight off against each other. We usually do it live. This year we did it via Zoom, and we do it, and by we meaning KCRW, where I've been doing this now for 3 years. It's done to promote tortilla culture in Southern California. Don't buy your Mission or Guerrero like
Come on! What's wrong with Guerrero? What's wrong with Guerrero?
They are the Galactus. Well, first of all, they have no taste. Secondly, they are the Galactus of the tortilla world. No less an authority than Taste Magazine called them the Tortilla Cartel. They're destroying tortilla culture across the world.
Wait, hold on. What, tortilla culture?
Yeah, tortilla culture.
The hell is tortilla culture?
There's so many.
No, seriously. What is tortilla culture?
You want to know what's tortilla culture? All the tortillerias in Southern California. If you're in the South Bay, as Beto showed, Diana's Mexican food, the pride of Gardena. If you're in East LA, you want to go to La Azteca for your flour tortillas, or La Gloria, or you go to Miramar in East LA since 1958 for your corn tortillas. If you're all the way out in India or Coachella, you go to Arriola's, the oldest tortilleria probably in the United States. They've been doing it for, I think, 90-some years at this point. That's what I mean by tortilla culture. All these tortillerias. And people keep opening up tortillerias. In Compton, there's a tortilla. Compton's actually a very interesting nexus point for tortillerias. There's like 4 of them. There's a newer one called El Zócalo, but the classic one in Compton, of course, is Juanita's Tortilleria. They've been around at least for 35 years. That is all culture. And this is the thing. When you think about it, you're like, oh, yeah, there is a tortilleria near my house. But you don't think about the fact that there's also tortillerias everywhere. All Mexicans have their tortilleria. So when I do the tortilla tournament, that's what I mean. Elevate tortilla culture. Talk about the people who are doing it right. Talk about these families. Talk about all this history, and tell people you could be better tortillas. And even if you're fucking shopping at Walmart or fucking Stater Brothers, you don't have to go get the Mission or Guerrero tortillas there. Buy Romero's Tortilleria from Santa Fe Springs since the 1960s. There's so many local tortillas. There's no excuse for you not to find a good tortilla in Southern California.
Ruben Polanco asks, where can I find the best blue corn tortillas? What are blue corn tortillas?
tortillas de maíz morado. So in Mexico, you think corn, you just think yellow. But there's different colors of corn in Mexico.
Why do you?
Corn,
Okay, this seems like the blue and the other one. It seems like hipster tortillas.
No, this is fucking indigenous shit. When Cortez came to Tenochtitlan, and it was Bernardo Sahagún? No, it was Sahagún. Bernardo Sahagún, he was one of the guys who did the Florentine Codex, which is he got a bunch of Aztecs to write about life as they remembered it. So there he talks about all the different tortillas. They had the Aztecs had 50 different styles of tortillas.
Come on.
The only ones 50 different tortillas made with ant larvae, tortillas made with amaranth, tortilla made with never flour tortillas because flour didn't exist back then. But one of the tortillas was different colored tortillas. And so blue corn tortillas, that's as indigenous and old school as you could get. So the best ones, period, in Southern California are from Taco Maria and Costa Mesa, except he doesn't sell them retail, whatever. So the best retail blue corn tortillas is going to be Kernel of Truth Tortilleria right out of Boyle Heights. You could buy them at Sarah's Mercado. And shameless plug, you could buy them at my wife's Alta Baja Market as well. She sells both the regular tortillas and the blue corn tortillas.
See, I don't eat tortillas anymore because I'm
trying to... Some keto diet or shit?
Yeah, because I'm trying to only have 3 chins instead of 4. So and the only time if I go out at restaurants, I try not to have the tortillas anywhere I go. And then, believe me, my mom is just flipping out, right? Like, she gives me the comer, but no hay tortilla. Or the only times I do have them is my dad makes handmade flour ones. And that was with some butter. Yeah, estuvo. So that's it. Because so I'll destroy that, but as normally I don't eat it. So are blue tortillas healthier?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to fucking calories. They're good. Like you have to make me think. It's true though. Let's let Beto laugh for a little bit.
No, because think about it.
Fucking healthy. Eat one tortilla a day. Then,
well, who the hell? Why would you only eat one?
Drink water. Drink water. Just go on a starvation diet and work out. Come on, man.
I am. No, but I mean,
you're connecting to your culture. So I'll say this: eating blue corn tortillas. You're because blue corn is rare, so you're buying it from people who are trying to do it the right way. Kernel of Truth, they're working directly with farmers in Mexico. We're talking about people who've had land that the Spaniards never conquered. So going back hundreds of years. So you're supporting these small businesses. You're supporting these milpas. And they're doing it organically. They're doing it with non-GMO. They're not using chemicals. So by virtue, especially Kernel of Truth, they do it definitely the right way. Others, they might they'll tell you that it's only corn, water, and lime, but they're not telling you where they're getting their corn. Kernel of Truth tells you exactly where they're getting their corn from. So you cannot eat healthier than Kernel of Truth.
Hey man, these are legit questions, bro. Like, hey, can these be healthy tortillas? Because if they are, then I'm all about it.
Corn tortillas, like flour tortillas, are far and healthier than corn tortillas.
Oh, I know. That's why I'll eat the ones my dad makes.
And then the butter, Beto, that's what gets you gordito, not the fucking flour.
Well, I'm not having it every day, but it's usually just on Mole Mondays when my dad makes the mole. Oh, man.
But corn tortillas, look, our people have been, if you want to eat healthy, and this is actually, I don't know if you've had her. Have you ever heard of Jocelyn Ramirez, who does vegan Mexican food?
You mentioned her before.
Yeah. I had her on Jocelyn Ramirez. I had her on my own thing with Occidental College. She wrote La Vida Verde, Todo Verde. You should have her on because she's smart. She's from Southgate. I mean, you want to talk about a mix, half Ecuadorian, half Mexican. So, and her food, I know you don't see that. You don't see too many Ecuadorians here because they're all in New York City. But she's total her whole thing is she makes this amazing vegan food that tastes like the food we're supposed to eat. But this is what she said. People say oh, carne asada, that's real Mexican food. No, our ancestors, they ate fucking good and they didn't have to eat a bunch of meat. Nopales, if all you did was a diet of nopales, tortillas, frijoles, and nopales, tortillas, frijoles, and really that's it. Maybe a little bit of carne. You'd be healthy. That's what kept our people's diets in check, our diabetes in check for centuries. The fuck up happened once we started eating corn syrup and processed foods and all that.
Ah, but it's so good.
Look at mi abuelita. Mi abuelita, we celebrated 98 years. She celebrated 98 years. I wrote a column about it. We had a party for her right there in East LA, where Montebello, where Whittier Boulevard turns into Montebello, around that area. We did a parade, on the cars, and then any cousins who wanted to hang out more, they had to park down the street. Not a single one of us got a COVID case. And so I asked mi abuelita, what's your secret to a long life? She's like, well, of course, prayer. She shout out to San Alfonso, St. Alphonsus, right there off of, I think it was Atlantic in East LA, but that's where she's been going for God knows how many, like 50 years. So be religious, talk to as many people as possible. And she also said, eat healthy. She's like, she only stopped. You want to talk about how healthy she is. So she's always eating healthy. She finally stopped cooking, not because she's old, but because she got in a car accident at 97 years old.
Jeez.
Broke her tailbone, and she's still alive, and she's still all there. But that's finally when they're like, okay, mis tías, we're going to cook for her. But she's like, cook healthy. And like, whenever I go to mi abuelita's house, what do we eat? Zacatecano, gorditas, nopales. I forget the name, but like the small little corn kernels, like all healthy all the time.
It's all you need.
Healthier. She's healthier than you, Beto. And she's not on no fucking keto diet.
No, I'm not on a diet. I just need less. You know what? I'm gonna go right now. I'm gonna go and just get some nopales right now, and we'll be all right. Okay, but it's simple as that. All right. As we start wrapping up, my goodness, I know there's some people kind of questions for you. Where's the other one that I had? The other question I had. All right, I want you to explain this, Gustavo, because not many people know what it is, but I do. And you wrote about it in your canto, the talache. You have it?
Yeah.
What is a talache and the significance of it for you?
A talache is a tool. I thought it was all over the world. Versions of it are, but talache specifically, the name is in Mexico. So you see it right there. It has two sides to it, and it's used for gardening. So one side is kind of like the sharp point of a pickaxe, and you would use that to break rocks, although most people don't break rocks anymore much. And then the other side would be like a hoe to till the soil. So talachear is to use a talache, and you're going to use a talache to till the soil. In other words, till the soil, dig it and dig it up, it's work. And if you've ever used a talache, you're going to be panting for air after 10 minutes. Even if you work out, it's a fucking workout right there. So if you want to say let's work, you say a talachear, because that's go to work. It is a fucking workout. Again, gardening, that is work. Talking, writing, that is not work.
Como hombre, Gustavo.
Como Zacatecano, man. My mama talacheaba, so it's not just hombres. Zacatecanos, we do Zacatecanex, right?
Don't even start with that. All right, so if you guys have a couple questions, go for it with Gustavo. We're gonna wrap up with you guys. So if you have questions, put it in the comment section. What other pictures did I get of Gustavo? That was the one I want to get, the talache, the newsletter. What else do I have for you? I think I used all my pictures. Yeah, we used all my pictures. We're all right. We're all right. You are teaching a class at Orange Coast College. If somebody wanted to enroll for next semester, are you doing the same?
Oh, yeah. Narrative nonfiction. So I used to do the intro to journalism class. I liked it, but they have another professor for that, so that's cool. It's just an honor for me to teach at OCC. I'm not looking to be a full-time professor when I'm a full-time reporter. But Orange Coast College, I graduated from there. I'm actually in the Hall of Fame of Orange Coast College. Oh, yeah. The greatest honor. I don't care what happens in the rest of my life. That will be the greatest honor I'll ever receive in my life because it means so much to me. Community college.
I'm Googling right now. Hold on. OCC.
Google it, man. Go fucking find that shit. Who the hell's calling me? Whatever. That is the greatest. I got put in there, I think, 2014. Greatest honor of my life. And so to be able to teach there, it'd be cool if I taught more classes. I just don't have the time to do so. But so I teach narrative nonfiction. I got a lot of great students. The final is basically you have to write a 2,000-word story, not an essay, not a fiction story, but a reported story. It's a little bit different right now because of coronavirus, but I always get great students. There it is.
Notable alumni: Gustavo Arellano, journalist and columnist. Wow.
Orange Coast College Hall of Fame.
A lot of actors come out of there. Okay.
Oh, no, OCC, because we have a film school. That's why. We also have good, speech team, journalism department. Now, we got a good journalism department as well. But yeah,
Don Ho?
I went to film.
Don Ho? Dan Quisenberry.
Yeah, the Royals reliever. Yeah, he grew up in Garden Grove. Yeah.
Oh man, Patrick Warburton. Look at that, John Sally.
Yeah.
Sergio Romo. World Series pitcher, a friend of mine. He went there for a little bit. He didn't play there, but he went there for a year. Look at that. All right. Look at you.
They got good people, man.
Audrina Partridge from the Hills.
I don't know who she is.
She was in The Hills. She was a reality show.
I watch Bravo. I don't watch MTV.
Diane Keaton.
Yeah, she grew up from Santana. She graduated from Santana High School.
Look at this. Don Hogue. Hall of Famer. This is the first time I've had a Hall of Famer on Living the Dream. All right, here we go. Drew Hart says, talk about the SoCal City nicknames. You've been on this rampage on Twitter with SoCal City nicknames. Let's start off with you. You're from Anaheim. It's Anna Crime. And then you had La Habra. You had Juan La Habra earlier, right? And what are some of the other names that you've been going on this rampage about?
Well, it's not just me. It's not rampage, Beto.
Your Twitter rampage
of Southern California, and this happens there's a couple things that always come up in my Twitter account: SoCal City nicknames, Mexican names, Mexican nicknames, and then of course the whole In and Out is overrated thing. So it always goes back because I retweet these things. I like it. So SoCal City nicknames, Whittier of course is shittier. That's one. West Covina is West Cochina. That's another one. Santana is Staba Anna. Costa Mesa is Costa Mexico. Huntington Beach is Huntington, I'm not going to say the word, but you can just imagine it. Well, although Surf City, of course, that's their nickname. You call it Surf Shitty. Every city has a nickname. Rancho Cucamonga, Rancho Cucaracha, Ventura or Fontana, Ventucky or Fontucky. And this is the thing. This is why, people say, it's not real journalism. It is, though, because this is stuff of Southern California. People talk about this shit. People we won't get into it here, but then all the rivalries with high schools and what people think about high schools. There was, what was it? Oh, shit. I recently, when fucking Matt Leiner said, California sucks because of these shutdowns, everyone's all talking trash. What do? I do a total Orange County dig. What do you expect from a modern day graduate? And the people who know immediately knew what I was talking about. And I said, I've met maybe 5 people that graduated from modern day that were smart. And everyone's like, yeah, and it's one of those things where when you say that, you're like, you know what? You're right. And then I say, compared to people who I've known who graduated from Bosco or Servite, they're all smart. All the people smart or successful. They don't have to be smart to be successful. But I don't know too many from Bosco, but I definitely know people from Servite. They all fucking, for the most part, turned out okay. But if you graduated from Rosary High, the all-girls school, y-que-la.
And we're going to move on from there. And you're on the rampage. The entire time you were talking, I was scrolling, and the entire time on your Twitter while I was scrolling was nothing but tweets about names. All right, what about Mexican nicknames? That's another one of your...
my God.
Right?
Well, you fucking have... And you have two strains. I should do a whole podcast just on this. The 2 strains. So you have the names like Beto, which comes from Humberto, or Guti, which is, of course, Gustavo. So you have your Mexican nicknames deriving from a name. So Ignacio turns into Nacho, Jorge, I don't know what will be George. That's once it gets into the Chicano nicknames. And then, of course, you have something like, Lorenzo, Lencho, and onwards and onwards and onwards. But then you have the nicknames that just come out of something that you did. So somebody said, that some guy's named El Huevon because one day when he was young, he was lazy. So someone called him Huevon, so it just stuck with him. My personal favorite of that vein, of course, is a guy who was born on the day of Kennedy's assassination, and so they called him El Kennedy. Or of course, you have the guy who has a big beard and it's gray, El Osama. Of course, or nowadays, of course, it's not Osama because Osama got killed. They call him El ISIS. You just make up these names. So it's Mexican nicknames. We just come out with these amazing Mexican nicknames. And then, of course, you have Mexican names. So Mexican names is going to be mostly Catholic saint names because you were named after the Dia de tu Santo, the day that you were born. So you start pulling out this stuff. You don't meet too many Lorenzos anymore, but that's not even hardcore Mexican name. We're talking about Hipólito or Fidencio or the one that actually started it all off. No, you want to get into the deep track shit. So this all started because I'm probably one of the last people under 50 who still listens to AM radio because I have to listen to La Mera Mera, 980 AM, all Mexican oldies. So there's this amazing song by Yolanda del Rio called Ay Mama, na na na. It's a song about the Mexican Revolution. It's actually an amazing song, which I could say this on. Well, I'll leave it for later. But it's a song about the Mexican Revolution, talking about how all these revolucionarios come into town, and all the prim and proper ladies are hiding their daughters to stay away from these guys. And then at the end, all these daughters have babies willingly with these soldiers. So there's this one line que dice a la pobre de Eduvigues, que le van a hacer or something. And I'm like, Eduvigues, what kind of name is Eduvigues? And then someone's like, oh, that was my aunt's name. And then, I'm like, that's right, that's a whole thing. Eduvigue is Hedwig. It's named after Saint Hedwig, which was a woman. Now people know that name from Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which is a musical. But Eduvigues, no one is called Eduvigues. Not even your grandma's named Eduvigues anymore. We're talking about your great-grandma is called Eduvigues. And my great-great-grandpa, you want to know a badass name? Sabas. Sabas was a Lebanese saint. A fucking Lebanese saint from the 6th century, and he was named for El Dia de su Santo. But Sabas Miranda, that is a fucking Mexican name right now. Hashtag Mexican name.
Oh, there is a hashtag on Twitter, Mexican nicknames, with Gustavo Arellano. All of them come back to you. And the people, including this one right here. My dad, Memo, his real name, they called him Pelucas because he had long hair. My mom was Tripis Ernestina. Tia Cebollita, because she wore buns. Like, the people that respond to you, just all kinds of good stuff. And your tweet said, my apa says, like you say, instead of, remember shit my dad says? My apa says. In one conversation, he dropped a tacho. He talked about El Compadre Abel.
Anastasio.
El Compadre Abel, known as El Rural. Not to be confused with El Compadre Abel, known as El Pingo. And
Pingo, yeah.
That thread had 86 replies to you. That was in July about it. It was it should be a story. Quique, of course. Toño. There's Machaca, El Perico, a manager from Turkey who everybody calls Turkey. Like, it just we are just so, like, nobody knows anybody. Okay, for example, my mother. There's 7 kids. I'm the first one born in the United States. And one of these days, if I ever get enough gumption to stand up to her, I'm gonna talk to her about this. I'm the first one born in the United States. I'm the first one, as I tell my siblings, born in a hospital. How the hell do I get the most Mexican name of all? Fucking Humberto.
Probably because of Humberto Luna, I guarantee you.
Well, I don't give a, like, okay, but
well, you know why? Because she probably heard a name like that. Like, I got named Gustavo. Gustavo is not. Yeah,
it's a good name. It's easy to say.
Well, the Gustavo is not, though, a very common Mexican name. It's more popular in Argentina and Brazil. That's absolutely true. Boludo. And the reason my mom called me Gustavo was because there was a actor, a Argentino, a boludo, really, on a novela at the time, and my mom liked the name Gustavo, and so hence I was named Gustavo.
Yeah, well, I'm a Humberto.
Humberto, yeah, well, Bert, yeah. Bert.
Hey,
but again,
¿por qué me dijo Humberto? ¿Por qué me puso Humberto? ¿Por qué me puso Humberto?
He's all mad now.
Pues no sé, she said. Pues no sé. Well, good talk. Thank you, lady.
Ya está la sopa.
¿Hay sopa?
This podcast is going to end now.
¿Hay nopales? ¿Hay nopales?
Nopales.
Sí.
Allá están atrás.
All right.
Of course. That's a good Zacatecano household right there. The nopales in the back and the tuna.
No, si viene para acá va a salir en la cámara. Este es Gustavo. Él es de Jerez. No la... Yeah. Él es de Jerez, Zacatecas. All right. Good talk, lady. Hey, ¿hay tortillas? All right, bye. She's a 78-year-old. She does not want to deal with me at all. She still thinks I have drinking problems because I sit here on Thursday night when I do my Thursday show. She's like, "Why do you look at your computer and just laugh and you finish your bottle of wine?" I'm like, "Well, that's what you do." All right. Yeah, there it is. But yeah, the Mexican nicknames, all kinds of good stuff. As always, Gustavo, it's been a pleasure. I actually got to go eat nopales and tortillas, as you heard that. But some of the other...
I just saw the whole chat. There's like, my siblings are there.
Oh, yeah.
La Pulguita, there's someone, El Pingo-san, yeah. So Nini, my sister, she knows who El Pingo is, and then his son was El Pingüillo. Yeah, there's like little penguins. Or no, my favorite, actually, the best Mexican nicknames of it's like a combination Mexican names and Mexican nicknames. So there's a woman from El Rancho, Maria Auxilio. So her nickname, of course, was Chilo. Her daughter was also Maria Auxilio. Her daughter's nickname was Chili. Chilo, Chile. That right there. That's amazing. Mexican name, Mexican nicknames.
And the thing is, you always ask, ¿y por qué le llaman así? I don't know. No sé. Like, así se llama. Así se llama. I have a tío, I don't know his name. My mom, well, actually, one of my mom's brothers. They call him El Cheri. Because he was working security, and they would say as a joke,
El Cheri, yeah.
El Cheri. I don't know his real name. And this is my mom's brother. I don't think I've met him. But, like, it's her brother, El Cheri. Like, to this day, El Cheri.
Well, honestly, only a couple of years ago, I found out what my tia Mela's name is. Her name's Manuela. And I never thought of, you just call her Mela, mi tia Mela, mi tia Mela. I still don't know what my tia Child's name is when I think about it.
I have a tia Child.
Yeah. What's her name?
It's Child. That's my dad's sister. I don't know.
¿Cuál es el nombre de mi tía Chayo? Yeah, exactly. No, but like you just, and it's funny.
Wait. So that's not a wait. Hold on. I'm not being serious. I'm being serious. Mela isn't a name.
No, it's Manuela.
I have a cousin named Mela.
Yeah,
wow.
Her name. I mean, you could probably give him a name, but like I guarantee you, the name's gonna be Manuela, or of course, Chema. I always wondered, why are men called Chema if Chema is a feminine name? And then because of the best tamborazo in Southern California is Tamborazo Jerez 75, and the guy who heads it, le dicen el Chema. I'm like, Chema. And then I finally got it. Chema is...
Jose, isn't it?
Jose Manuel. Chema. Jose Manuel. That's
Jose Manuel is Chema.
My tia's name is Rosario. There it is, Chayo. Yeah.
So Chayo and Rosario? I have a tia Rosario. Yeah. All right. I'm going to have to go ask my dad. So my tia Rosario. Okay.
Which is such a cool Mexican name. I mean, think of it. Your name is Rosary. That is a badass name. Or Bessia mi tío Santos. What's his name? Saints. Arellano. That is a fucking badass name. That's what I talk about when I mean Mexican names. Or the one that always gets Americans the most. Where do you Mexicans get off calling your sons Jesus or Guadalupe after Virgin of Guadalupe? I'm like, that's how Mexicans are, man.
And you call and then the sons too, Lupe.
Yeah, Lupe. Pues sí, Lupe.
There it is. Gustavo, always a pleasure. It was hour 16. It flew by. Tuesday, check out Gustavo on his Instagram, Gritale Agute, where you can hear more rambling like this, but more. This is where he takes questions. Thanks for the taco tour. We got to do a tamale tour. We got to, you really did educate me as always. We should do a buddy show. Now that I'm Hollywood Beto, I have a producer. You're a producer. I'm a producer. We could just make this a TV show right now. This would be like Cisco and Ebert Latino version.
Hey, I got the 79 Ford Super Cab ready to go. Or if we really want to do it, the 73 Cadillac convertible también.
Oh, no way. All right. I'm going to start right now. I'm going to get 2 chins so we can go on a food tour around the country. Anything else you got to plug, Gustavo?
GustavoArellano.org. Follow me there. Subscribe to my newsletter. Subscribe to my Instagram. Subscribe to my Twitter. Subscribe to LA Times. All that good stuff. But it all starts with GustavoArellano.org. That's where everything else flows.
And then make sure you guys go, if you're in Orange County, go and check out Alta Baja Market, 4th Street in Santana. And I'm saying this not because I know Gustavo and his wife and they're great people. It's just a cool-ass store. They have everything you need there. And I actually got to go. Do you guys have any wine for Valle de Guadalupe?
Dude, we have a Valle de Guadalupe wine club. If you sign up for the wine club, we do Zoom tastings, and we're connected with people there, and we sell to-go michelada kits. Follow them on Instagram, Alta Baja Market. My wife does a lot of amazing things, really. And then if you want to see me, I'm probably going to be washing dishes in the back.
And he's not joking about that. That's his office right there. But because the last bottle I bought from Alta Baja was really, really good. It was worth the $35, man. I know I got a deal on that one. All right, Gustavo, as always, un placer. Gracias. We'll talk to you later. Another edition of Living the Dream with Gustavo Arellano. Thanks for everybody. Rate, review, subscribe, all that other BS stuff, and just do it. And we'll talk to you soon. Merry Christmas, Gustavo. Feliz Navidad. And I'll get you a tamale.
Año Nuevo.
Yeah, and I'll get you a tamale.